That's the one problem that's really going to suck about going where I'm going, is I don't have a welder that can weld the good stuff. Alright, so we've been getting some parts welded and getting the front of this motor put back together, and well, running into some issues. So, as you can see, got the turbo back on here. Haven't had it on for a while. Got my intercooler and turbo basically figuring out how that's gonna all mount together, which looks like a little bit of trimming and a little bit of elbow action, like right there. Should be able to make that work. Went to put the water pump on, which I hadn't had on, and oh, by the way, probably should have had on when we built the turbo kit. I mean, who knew? I can't believe I did it. So anyhow, put the truck water pump on, and well, as you can see, the inlets are gone, or outlets are gone, and they're all nicely welded over. And so when I put it on, these were basically trying to live right here, which wasn't going to happen. Basically, most of these cars that do swaps, they don't even run these. They run like loops on them or whatnot, so you don't have to use the heater in the system like Joe's car is done with a loop and whatnot. And down the road, I would like to use some heat. I think I might actually tap the bottom here and run out the bottoms and run my hoses back and up across the motor back there. But I'm not really sure about that, and for the time being, this is the pump that came on the motor, and this is just a bit of aluminum we had laying around the shop, so we just welded that on there, sealed it off, and it'll do fine for a while. Down the road, I may put a electric water pump on it. I'm not 100% on that. I don't really know what I want to do there, exactly yet. So we're gonna go ahead and run this one for a while, get things going, see how we like it, and we'll figure out the accessories from there. I mean, down the road, this turbo kit might not work out, and we'll have to redo a new one or something like that. I don't really know exactly what we're doing there. Exactly. It's one of those we're gonna have to figure it out as we go along. So you live and learn. Lesson from today is install the parts before you put your turbo kit and build it, because she'll be in the way, dummy. I know. I also had the dash 10 bung welded on here so we could do our oil drain for the turbo. So that'll come down out of there. Obviously I gotta clock that a little better. I'm still figuring out exactly my clock there. So I want to run a brace from the turbo flange to the manifold somewhere, or off of here somewhere, off the head. I'm not exactly 100% exactly how I want to do it. I might even run it off of right here, this bolt down here up, to give this thing some support, because it does have a bit of movement, but it could be tightened down more. But the other problem is I don't want it to be too much weight and just be hanging on the turbo piping and whatnot. So I'm gonna mount everything up, see what our clearances look like now that I've made my adjustments. I also had to cut off the little tab right here on the throttle body for the cruise control, which we don't have that in this model. Cruise control and AC are definitely, well, and heat for that matter at the moment, are obsolete on this model. So not the end of the world. Not even that crazy. I mean, that type of thing happens with race cars, and especially swap cars. So that's all something that we can address down the road once we get it up and running and playing with. But made some good progress on some of the other things, like the interior. Got all this all put back together and looking like a stock ass car, which I'm pretty stoked about. So I did go to the junkyard and got another switch for the line lock. So this is actually my line lock. Hit it on, hit it off, and then this one is my fog lights. I'll probably redo the switch at some point and put something there, but it came out pretty clean. I like how that worked. I originally wanted to do it in the steering wheel, but the steering wheel switch is, or whatever it uses to go through the column, is actually bad on this model, and I'm not going to bring myself to buy new parts for an old steering wheel when realistically down the road that steering wheel is going to get turned out for, like a racing steering wheel, get rid of the airbag and whatnot. So, all right, I'm gonna put all this together and I'll check back into you once I get everything tightened down. So if it looks like I'm exhausted, it's because I've been mentally playing with how to fix a lot of problems that I caused by not doing it the right way. And, or at least I thought that in the first place because I was like, oh, I didn't do things that I should have done. But as I've looked further and further into it, there's really only so much I can do with the area. Because say I would have ran this further out this way, I don't have a whole lot of room, and I infringe on my battery compartment, which granted, I could put the battery in the back of the car, but I was trying not to do that. So going down and around like that to get an alternator down there, not really an option. Over here, right where it sits right now, because as you can see, I had to pull the feed out, and that's the only way I can get that here. So this is where I'm thinking my plan is going to be at this point. I've ordered a -16 bung for the up here, and what I'm going to do is chop this thing flush here and weld in a -16, which will get me far below where my hardware is going to go here, and lets me get a little bit lower, and then I can come up with a 90 and run my -16 line out to my radiator. I got a -20 coming for down here, so I can weld in and do a -20 here, and I got two -12s that I can weld in here and up underneath to run to my heater core lines, and that gives me all my plumbing done. And realistically, I think all told, it's 15, no, it's like 25 bucks for all of the weld-in bungs. So if I have to get another truck one day if this one ever dies, but realistically, I'll probably just rebuild the damn thing to keep it going, being the option. And then this, taking this down lets me get a little further that way, which gives me a little more room over here. I plan on heat wrapping all this so it's not going to get too much heat transfer there. And it lets me send it down some, which then makes all of this stuff work, I think, theoretically. Realistically, I've gone from looking at electric water pumps, which for this setup doesn't really do anything for me, because in order to run my alternator when I want to run it, the electric water pumps, you gotta spend $800 on the one that has the idler still in the center for the water pump. And then you have fitment and offsets that are gonna mess with my alternator positions because it goes off the water pump. So that just takes us down a whole road that I don't want to go down at the moment. Then I was like, maybe redoing the whole turbo kit is the way to go. But the problem with that is there's only so many places this can all go. It's like, this is the most efficient spot for the wastegate. So there's not really much in the way of options to put this really anywhere else. This turbo going directly to here, and then, you know, the exhaust going down there like I want, there's not really a much better place to put it. I can't really do it over here because I run into steering issues and everything over there. I could have turned and brought this a little closer, but I mean, you're talking about 2 inches tops before you're over, and really not so because I'm very close to being in the way over here and the clearance there. So So, I mean, for a while there, I was beating myself up that I rushed it, and I shouldn't have done it without the water pump, and you're an idiot, and you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you got to figure out what you're going to do to make it right. And so I've gone through all of the ups and downs and figuring out what we're going to do. I thought about doing a car water pump, which does bring it out around here, but you still run into the problem that the car ones have this right here, and then don't have, so this is still built into the car ones, this riser, so I would either way have to cut that and modify it, which is something I'm not trying to do. And I don't know that necessarily does what I needed to do coming out here, and then I would have to have that one modified for this, which I just had done anyhow. So at this point, for the 25 bucks in bungs that I'm gonna spend, and I have access to a welder that can do it, I'm gonna go this route. So they'll be here in 2 days. I'll pull all this back out. We'll weld a bunch of crap and put a bunch of holes in them and see if we can make it work, I guess. So I guess I will pick up this video once we see if all of these great ideas go, because I don't know if it's gonna work or not. I'm really just winging it at this point. Not a lot of Not a lot of people have done what I'm doing here without tubing, do tube framing in the front end and whatnot. I'm trying not to do that. Maybe it would have been smarter to do that in the long run. I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm not killing myself with the money I would have spent. I mean, realistically, I'm still in this pretty cheap, and it's a bit of time. It's recycled parts. I'm not too concerned about it. It just sucks when you feel like you've totally screwed the pooch. I totally felt like that for a little bit. But after looking at it, and until you guys hit me in the comments and tell me the better way I could have done it, I don't see necessarily a better way. So I will pick you guys up once I figure out where we're going and what the next steps and how all that's going to fit. So we got a hole going into the backside there for our return or supply, or I don't know. And then we got the one coming the other way. These would be -12 going to our heater core. So we're gonna get all that welded in. And then on the top, we're going with a -16 out the top and then a -20 on the thermostat. So I gotta go cut the thermostat up and get that ready to go. And Ethan is gonna put some welds on this booger. So it looks like it's going to work out pretty well, at least as best as it could for the issues we're running into. It does kind of suck that it won't be an off the shelf part anymore, but realistically a $70 water pump and $25 worth of bungs and then a little bit of time on the welder, and I've got another one. So I'll probably build up another water pump for a spare at some point, but in the meantime I'm going to rock this one, and I kind of like the AN fittings better anyhow. So alright, so she's all done. And man, did it come out nice. Like, so nice. It's very hot. But, so yeah, we're gonna get it back, get it in the car and see where we come out. Hopefully we can make everything fit and work. We might have to modify the alternator a little bit, but hopefully we can make it all work with this. And I'm really stoked with the way the bungs are going to do everything, because I think the AN lines are just such a cleaner way to do it. I did AN hose in the Z, but not the fittings, and I don't like it. It just doesn't look the same. But yeah, I'm interested to see how much this fitting is going to cost right there. I give it $30 for the just the AN fitting. Yeah, it's probably ridiculous, but. Alright, so I don't know if it's going to be the end of the video or not, so if it is the end, thanks for checking in, and make sure you hit that like, subscribe button, and if it's not, we'll check you out at the next part. Alright, so everything actually fit, amazingly enough. So I've got enough clearance to get my connector on there, good clearance there, I've got decent clearance here, all my lines on the bottom we're able to get connectors on. I got caps on those. I don't have any caps for the big boys because, well, my caps don't go up to 16 and 20. But yeah, just need to do a little bit of turbo piping once Joe gets here, but I probably won't show that. Got the turbo all piped up right here. I just need to get clamps for it, but it's all solid in here. Got it clocked how we want it. Not sure if I'm gonna build a standoff to connect these two together to hold it. I was thinking I needed to, but this thing doesn't really move at all. So I don't think I'm going to. I think it's gonna be solid enough the way it's built, and I don't think it'll crack, but we'll see. If it runs into an issue down the road, we'll reevaluate. I am, like I've said a couple of times, bummed that I don't have off-the-shelf parts here, but realistically, with this one, it was $26 to modify it, and then all we had to do was cut the end off of this alternator right here and just put this bolt in with a small head, and it's solid. Like, this whole unit is good to go, so I don't know. I think I could have done it better, but for my first kit and in the space and whatnot we have going on here without tube framing and doing some other crazy shit, I think it'll be just fine. So, all right, so we're in our new in the new garage. So this is the trailer. It's in pack-up mode now, roll mode essentially. So when we get to where somewhere we want to work on something, we'll actually roll the car back out a bit, and then we can have some space to move around in here. But right now I'm trying to finish up a few things before we leave. I leave in 2 days. So we are working on the cold side, specifically the part that comes up from the turbo to the intake. I do not have the 90 silicone that I need to make this finish up. I don't know if I showed you that side, but it's all up and on and looking good. So I'm going to mock up these pipes to get it close and then go from there. So I will basically be doing a little bit of work with this right here. So I have this 45 that we got from Joe's car. Not the prettiest thing, but it'll work perfect for what I need it to do. And I got this 90 that I played with. So I ended up putting just a dimple ring around to hold the clamp. Just used a pair of pliers. I saw that trick somewhere. Not really sure where it was, but it's those it's these. So you just use these electrical pliers right here, and that little dimple will give you the raised edge you need. And you just need enough for the clamp to kind of bite with the silicone. I mean, it's really tight in there with all these anyhow. But as you can see, it's just a little dimple ring all the way around. So I cut this 90 off real tight, and it fits right in there, and then it comes up, and then the 45 will catch it, and then it'll go in that straight. So I'm going to go ahead and tape up and mock and get all the orientations right. Because basically I'm going to take it and have it welded. I don't want to run couplers everywhere. The 90s I have to run the 90s. One, because I need some flex and I'm not paying for the vibrant, really nice ones. And it gets me my tight bends and everything I need. Maybe one day I will upgrade to that, but for this one we're sticking with cheap. And right now this is all leftover parts from Joe's car that we can't use on Joe's car. So that's why I'm using it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mocked up. I will show you guys what it looks like once I get it taped together and all the lines marked on it, and then we'll go from there.